All right. So in the last class, we have seen inheritance, which is one of the most important object-oriented programming concept. So today we will see some more concepts which are also related to inheritance. So mainly the topic is method overriding. Method overriding. So this concept is related to inheritance. So let us see what is method overriding. And after that, we will also compare this with method overloading. Okay, there are two concepts. Method overloading, we already discussed earlier, which is related to polymorphism, right? Method overloading related to polymorphism means one thing can have many forms. So the polymorphism we can achieve through overloading. And this overriding is related to inheritance concept. Okay, so what is overriding? So the overriding means whatever method we created in the class, parent class, the same method, if you again recreate in child class, which is called overriding. Suppose this is my parent class. In the parent class, there is a method called M1, and there is some implementation and there are some parameters. And if you extend this parent class into child class, this is my child class. What will happen normally? This M1 method is also belongs to child class, right? So whatever the method is implemented, same method is also belongs to child class, because after extending through inheritance, after extending, whatever methods and variables are belongs to parent class, and same variables and methods also belongs to child class. Same M1 method is there, same implementation, right? But sometimes, suppose after extending everything from parent to child class, if you do not like the implementation of this method, so whatever the implementation they have done in the parent class method, if do not like this method implementation, then what you can do is you can write the same method again in the child class without changing any definition, without changing syntax. Means what? Return type you should not change, name of the method you should not change, number of parameters you should not change, order of parameters, depth type of parameter, everything should be same. This part is exactly the same. Okay, so whatever method you already there in the parent class, if you recreate the same method in the child class, but you should change the implementation part, only implementation, the body of the method you will change. So this process is called method overriding. So whatever method we already there in the parent class, if you rewrite the same method again in the child class, just by changing the implementation part, which is called method overriding. Okay, so in inheritance concept, it will not be duplicated, because if you write a same method two times in the same class, then it is duplicated. Okay, for example, same class, if you write M1 with the same definition, these two are the duplicated. But what we are doing now is we are extending the C1 into C2, and in the C2 we are writing the same method with a different type of implementation. So that is the reason which is called overriding. It cannot be duplicated. So overriding means whatever the method which we already created in the parent classes, after extending into child class, if you recreate the same method without changing the definition, just by changing the implementation part, is called overriding. Okay, which is called overriding. So why this concept is required in inheritance? Sometimes we may not like the implementation. Whatever implementation they have already done the parent class, maybe that is the old implementation, old logic. So after extending it, if you want to change that logic, or if you want to recreate this method according to your requirement, your own requirement, you can do some change in the child class. Okay, that will not impact again in the parent class. Parent class method is still remains the same. Only in the child class, you are changing the implementation of the same method. This is called overriding. But what are the rules of overriding here is, in the overriding concept, we should not change the declaration part. This is called declaration. Suppose when I say void M1, here parameters, and here the implementation. So we should not change this particular part. So return type should be same, method name should be same, number of parameters, order of parameters, data type parameters, everything should be same. Only the implementation should be changed. Then it is called as overriding. Okay. Simple example I'll tell you to understand about the overriding in the real example. Let's say a parent is having some house, right? And after parents have gone, so the same property, same house will come to the child. So after so many days or after so many years, then what this child will do, he will renovate the same house. That's called renovation here. So what exactly he is doing? He is doing some customization or some modification, right? Because this becomes very old. Same thing. Overriding, whatever methods are there in the parent class, we will just try to modify them. Modification in the sense, the definition we should not modify, only implementation we have to modify in the child class, which is called as overriding concept. Okay. So let me tell you with example, we will try to understand where exactly this overriding concept is required and how we can implement along with the inheritance. And this overriding is possible only with inheritance. At least we should have two classes, one parent and one child class. Then only overriding is possible. If you have a single class, if you create a method with the same definition, that will be duplicated. These are duplicate methods. But if you create the same method in the parent, another method in the child class, this is called overriding. So if you want to achieve method overriding, at least two classes should be there. One parent class, one child class. Without inheritance, we cannot achieve overriding. So this concept is purely belongs to inheritance. Purely belongs to inheritance. Without inheritance, without having at least two classes, you cannot achieve overriding concept. Okay. So is overriding done for a method only in parent class? Yes. So whatever methods are there in the parent class, you can override all the parents, all the methods into child class. So whatever is there in the parent class, we can override into child class. It can be method or it can be variable also. Suppose in the parent class, I created variable and I have sent some data like this. Now same variable you can create in the child class also, you can change the data. This is also variable overriding. And if you have a method in the parent class, if you recreate the same method in child class just by change the implementation, this is called overriding concept. Okay. Yes. So if we extend this child class to another class, yes. Suppose here there is a C1 and here C2 class. Here it is C3 class. Here you can create one M1 method. You can rewrite here. And again, you can rewrite here if you want. So you can rewrite, you can override this method n number of times in child classes anywhere. Okay. Suppose here you don't want to override. Here you can override. And the grandchild you can override. So in this hierarchy, you can override this method anywhere. Okay, this is a concept, a simple concept. You don't need to have only two classes. More than two classes also you can have. But at least two classes we should have to achieve overriding concept. One parent and one child should be there. Even if you have a more number of childs, no problem. If you create a method here, and this method we can override in the grandchild classes. Because this method belongs to every class, right? Once you have here, you can override it if you do not like the implementation. Everybody is understood what is overriding? So this third class will inherit which method? Same method. See, until unless you change the implementation, the method will be the same. Don't confuse again. This is again previous class concept. See, again I'm repeating, just listen very carefully. So let's say I have four classes. Here you created M1 method. Okay, and this M1 method, after extending, same M1 method will be there in C2. And again, after extending, same M1 method is C3. Again, after extending, again, same M1 method will be in the C4. So here we were overriding. Here we are overriding. Okay, until unless you override this method, the method implementation will be same in C2, C3, everywhere it is same. But here you are overriding. Got my point? Same method. one method only. So here this will not split into multiple classes. Same method is belongs to C2, same method is belongs to C1, same method is belongs to C3, same method is belongs to C4. But once you override this, okay, the implementation will be changed. Okay, the same method, but implementation will be changed. So here this implementation will be changed. So, but when you create an object of a C1 class and access M1 method, the old implementation will be executed. If you create an object of C4 class and then call M1 method, the new implementation will be executed. This is a concept. Okay. Now, let us see how can we achieve this overriding and where exactly it will be useful with some example. So go to Eclipse and create new package. And today is, I think, day 15. Now in this, I'm going to create one new class. I will name it as overriding demo. Listen this carefully, very important concept. Overriding demo, even in automation also, it is most important. I'm taking main method also in the same class. If you want, you can take main method in another class, no problem. So this is the main class which contains a main method, and then I will keep this one side. Later, I will use this for creating objects and everything. All right. So here I'm going to create one new class called bank. Okay. And in this, I'm creating one variable, one method, return rate of interest, ROI, and it will return double. So initially I'm returning 0. This is the method I created in the bank class. And when you call this method, it will return 0, rate of interest. And the return type I say double, decimal number it will return. You can put anything, whatever method you want. You can just, I'm creating sample method. So now I will create another class called ICICI. This extends, okay, extends bank. So now I have inherited bank class into ICICI. Now, is this method belongs to ICICI or not? Yes. So this method is belongs to ICICI class also. Right. So now I will create another class. Let's say SBI. This is also extends bank class. Now the same method is belongs to SBI also, right? SBI also having same kind of a method. Now what I will do is, in the parent class implementation is not suitable for every bank. If I look at here rate of interest is 0, but the rate of interest of this bank and this bank will be different. So this implementation is not exactly the same for ICICI and SBI. So now what I will do, I will again recreate a same method in the child class here, and just I will change implementation part. Here I will return 10.5. And again in the SBI, again I'm recreating the same method, but according to SBI, I'm changing rate of interest. If I look at here, the same parent class method, I'm again recreating in the child classes just by changing the implementation. So definition, it should be exactly the same. It should not change, but implementation, you can change. Okay. So this is called overriding. So whatever method we created in the parent class, same method again we recreated in the child classes. And ICICI and SBI is a totally different classes. There is no relation between these two. Now, what type of inheritance it is? Can anyone tell what type of inheritance it is? Yesterday, we discussed about 4 types of inheritances: single, multi-level, hierarchy, and multiple. And which type of inheritance it is? Why it is multi-level? What is multi-level, guys? Have you listened the session yesterday? What is multi-level? See, multi-level means this is the one, right? If I look at this structure, is it seems like this? No, right? So bank is a class which is extended into ICICI, and which is also extended into SBI. What type of inheritance it is? One parent can have multiple childs. Hierarchy inheritance. It is not multi-level. Okay, multi-level means parent to child. Again, this child becomes a parent of another class. Here it is not like that. ICICI, SBI, there is no connection. Both are having same parent. So it is hierarchy inheritance. Simple question. I have not able to answer. Okay, so we have overridden this method into child classes. Now come to the main class, main methods. Now here, if you create object of this bank and you call this ROI method, it will return 0. And if you create an object of ICICI and through that object, if you call this ROI, that will return 10.5. And if you create an object of SBI class, then if you call ROI, then it returns 11.5. So whichever implementation you like, you can create an object of that particular class and you can call that method. So if you just observe here, I'm just creating an object of ICICI, IC equal to new ICICI. Now by using this object, I'm calling ROI. Okay, is it enough? Just calling method is enough. If you want to capture the data or if you want to get the return value, we have to store it in another variable or we can directly print it here because this method will not print. It will just return the output. System.out.println IC.ROI. Okay. And similarly, if you execute this, what is an output of this method? You can say 10.5. Why it is 10.5? Because we created an object of ICICI and through that object we have invoked ROI method. So whichever ROI method we recreated or we overrided inside this ICICI, the new method will be executed. The overridden method is executed always. Now, if you create an object of SBI, this particular overridden method will be executed. So I can say SBI, SB equal to new SBI. Another object I created. Now SB.ROI. So this will also return the output SB.ROI. Right. So now when I call this ROI method from SB, this will implement or this will execute. This is the method, which is also overridden method. 11.5. As Java application. Okay. So 11.5. So this is simple concept of overriding. Remember, what is overriding? Whatever method we already created in the parent class, in the child classes, wherever you want to change the method. Not only immediate parent class, you can change this in whichever class you want. After extending this class, you can recreate this method in whichever class you want in the child classes. Okay. And once you overrided this method, the implementation is got changed. So whenever you create an object of the class, the new implementation will be executed. Okay. So this is called overriding concept. And this concept is purely related to inheritance concept. Inheritance means what? There is only one parent, at least one parent and child should be there. Then only we can achieve overriding concept. Even if you have multiple child classes, no problem. You can implement the method in multiple child classes also. Wherever you want to recreate, you can do it. But at least 2 classes, we should have at least one parent and one child class we should have. This is called overriding concept. Clear, everyone? But what are the rules we have to follow here? We should not change the definition part, declaration. This is called declaration. This is called implementation. Or we can say the body of the method. Okay, the body of the method only we should change in overriding. We should not change the declaration part. Return type, name of the method, number of parameters, data type of parameters should be exactly the same. You should not change it as per overriding. Yes, same definition, different implementation. Okay, understood everyone? So definition means exactly the same. Again, parameters, order of parameters, data type, everything is part of the definition. So definition should not change means what? Even the parameters also you should not change. Here, if you take two parameters, in the child class also you should take two parameters. And here it is taking two integers. Here also it should take two integers. That's called overriding concept. Okay. Now, let us compare overriding and overloading. Very, very important and very confusing topics. There is a lot of difference between overriding and overloading. In the previous class, we have seen overloading, right? What are the rules applicable in overloading? Can we do overloading in single class? Can we do overloading with single class? Yes. Can we do overloading with multiple classes in inheritance? Yes or no? Overriding, we already seen in the inheritance. Can we do overloading here? Okay. So we'll see with practical example, overriding along with overloading with inheritance. Okay. With inheritance, we'll see overriding and overloading. So I will write some piece of code here. You guys can guess and tell me the answer for that. Okay. So let's create a new class. And here I will name it as loading versus overriding. I'm taking main method also. Just observe. It's very simple concept. Right. So I will just have this method in one side. Overloading versus overloading. Okay. Now, here I'm creating one new class. Just observe very carefully. I'm creating a new class called ABC. My class name is ABC. So here I'm creating one method called void m1. And here I'm taking one parameter. Okay, one single parameter I'm taking. And inside this, I'm just printing the value of A. So this is a method which belongs to class ABC. M1 is a method. One integer parameter it is accepting, no return value. It is just printing the value of A. Whatever parameter we are passing value, same thing it is got printing. I'm creating another method, void M2. This will also take one single parameter and this will print the value of B. So now I have created two methods, M1 with single parameter, M2 with single parameter. Both are belongs to class ABC. Now I'll create another class called XYG. And this XYG extends from ABC. Okay, now how many methods are there in XYG? How many methods are there in XYZ? Two methods, M1 and M2. So whatever methods are belongs to parent, same methods are belongs to XYZ also. Okay. Now what I will do is I will just create a same method again in the child class. I don't change the declaration or definition, but I will just change only implementation. Here, instead of printing just A, I will print A star value, this A square value, A into A. A into A. So whatever method we created in the parent class, same method again I recreated in the child class just by changing the implementation. So what is the concept? It is overriding or overloading. Overriding or overloading. This is overriding. It is clear. Overriding. It's very clear. So whatever method we created in the parent class, same method we recreated without changing the declaration, just by changing the implementation. Okay. Now, in the same class, I will create another method with M2 method. And M2 is already there in the parent class also. Now again, I'm creating M2. Here, this time I will take two parameters, int A, int B. Two parameters I'm taking. And here I will print A into B or A plus B. Some operation I have taken. Now just observe. Is there any difference between the parent M2 method and the child class M2 method? Yes, there is a difference. Now, if I look at this, how many methods are there in XYZ? Totally, how many methods are there in XYZ? How many methods are there in XYZ? Total number of methods in XYZ. 3, 2, or 4? Multiple options. 2 methods or 3 methods or 4 methods. How many methods are there in XYZ? Total number of methods. Okay, let us count. So the parent class M1, which is already we overrided. Okay, this is one method. And from the parent class, M2 method is also belongs to XYZ. But again, we created another M2 method. So if you recreate this method, if you override this method in the child class, there will be only one method. But we have not done overriding here. So we have done overloading. M2 method is overloaded in the child class. Okay, so M2 method as it is belongs to XYZ. M2 is also belongs to XYZ. M2 with one single parameter, M2 with 2 parameters. So there are 2 M2 methods are there. One M1 method is there. So totally how many methods are there in XYZ? 3 methods are there. Okay, so M1 method is only single one because we all override it. Overriding means old method is gone. The new implementation only will be there. So this is one method. But this is one M2 with 2 parameters. Another M2 one with single parameters comes from the parent class. So now is there any difference between this M2 and this M2? Yes. And now what is the difference you have noticed between overriding and overloading? The overriding, we are not changing the declaration. We are just changing only implementation. But in overloading, we are changing the declaration. Okay. So in overloading concept, what are those rules? Only method name is same. In overriding and overloading, what is the common point? In overriding and overloading, what is the common point? Only the method name is same. That's it. That's only one common point. In overriding, we should not change the declaration. We change only the implementation. In overloading, we should change the declaration. Same thing we again should not write. Right? We will change the declaration. Implementation is ours. Implementation, you can have same implementation or different type of implementation. According to the definition, you can change the implementation. So this is a overloading with inheritance. So within inheritance, we can achieve overriding and also overloading. Both the concepts we can achieve using inheritance. Now, overriding is purely belongs to inheritance. Without inheritance, we cannot achieve overriding. But without inheritance, we can achieve overloading. Right? In the last classes, we already seen. With single class, we can create a number of methods with the same name. So, overriding we can achieve only with inheritance. Overloading we can achieve with or without inheritance. With single or multiple classes also, we can achieve overloading concept. Now we understood the difference. Overriding is an inheritance concept. Overloading is a polymorphism concept. Overriding we can achieve only if you have a 2 classes, at least 2 classes, or more than 2 also fine. With single class, we cannot achieve overriding. But overloading we can achieve with single class and also multiple class. Now come to the main class. Here, I will create the object of XYZ. Just observe XYZ equal to new XYZ. Okay, so is this clear? Is this okay? Can we give XYZ lowercase characters as an object? Is it correct or not? Yeah, because case sensitive language, right? Uppercase XYZ and lowercase XYZ will treat differently. So this is XYZ OBJ. XYZ OBJ. Now I'm calling XYZ OBJ. Just observe. See, there are three methods. M1 with single variable, M2 with single variable, M2 with two variables. Three methods it is populating. M1, M2, one M1, M2 come from XYZ, and M2 with single parameters come from ABC class. Now I'm calling first M1 method. If I pass one single parameter, I'm passing. And then XYZ obj dot, and again I'm calling M1, M2 with single parameter 200, or you can say 2, here can say 10, here can say 20. Now from XYZ obj dot, again I'm calling M2 method with the two parameters 10, 20. Okay, so M1 is overridden, M2 is overloaded. M1 is overridden, same thing we declared, and M2 is overloaded. Means there are two M2 methods are there. These two M2 methods are not same. So we are able to call M2 methods by passing different type of parameters. So when you run this, you will get the output like this. So here M1 method, what M1 method will do here? Observe very carefully. M1 method from ABC will just print only A value. But M1 method from XYZ will print the square A star, A into A. So if I look at 100, we are passing 10 here, but we are getting 100 as an output. What does it mean? Which M1 is got executed? M1 from XYZ class is executed. That means overridden method is executed always. Whichever method is overridden, the overridden method will be executed. Suppose if you create an object of ABC class, then you call M1 method, which implementation will be executed? The old implementation will be executed. If you create an object of XYZ and if you call M1 method, then overridden method is executed. And now we call M2 method, it is got printed 20 as it is. Then we pass 10 and 20, it is added two numbers, 10 plus 20, 30. So this is how we can implement overriding and overloading with inheritance. Okay. So this is a concept. So now the question is, can we overload one method in two classes without extending these classes? Okay, so let me tell you this. So what you are saying is, there are two different classes you are saying. There is no connection between two classes. So this is a different class and this is a different class. No inheritance, right? No extension means no inheritance. And here you created one M1 method with some parameters, two parameters. Here you create overloading is nothing but what? You should change the implementation, should change the declaration, but here you can have 3 or 4 parameters. So if there is no connection between these two classes, this is not called as a overloaded or overridden. This is not called as a overloading. You can create same method, or you can create a different parameter, same method with the different parameters. We cannot call it as a overloading. When we will call overloading, within the same class, if you create another method with the same name, with a different declaration, which is called overloading. And if you have two classes and there is an extend connection, and if you create a same method with a different declaration, that is also overloading. But if there is no connection between these two, if you create a same method again, or if you change the parameters, we cannot say that is overloading or overriding. First of all, there is no connection between these two classes, right? So we cannot call it as a overloading, or we cannot call it as a overriding, first of all, because both are two different classes. Okay, so we haven't changed implementation of M2 with single parameter in XYZ class. That means, does it consider as overloading method? Yeah. See, observe here. We have override M1 method. Only M1 method we have overridden here. M2 method we have not overridden. M2 is not overridden. M2 we just overloaded. If you still want to override M2, you can still do that. You can just copy this M2 one more time without changing the declaration. And here you can change, you can call B into B. Okay. Now here this M2 is overrided method. Here this M2 is overloaded method. You understood now? So this time we've overridden M1 and M2 also, but we have created another M2 with the 2 parameters. Now this is overridden method, overridden M2 method. This is overloaded M2 method. So you can have both, no problem. Everyone is understood this point? There is no rule like if you override, we cannot overload. Like if you overload, we cannot override. There is no rule like this. Depends on your requirement. You can override and you can also overload same method. Just like M2. Here M2 method we override it and also overload it. Okay. So this is how we can achieve this. Overloaded and overriding. So now let us compare the points. So I will put some points here, and based on that, we will try to understand what is method overriding, what is method overloading comparison. An interview perspective, which is very, very important. What is the thing override and overloading? Again, you are asking the basic question. In the introduction, I already told you what is overloading and why we need, and what is overriding and why we need. With the scenarios I have explained. Both are not same. Both are not same. Both are not same. How both are same? See, these are the differences. Listen this. So method overriding possible only in multiple classes. With inheritance, we can achieve. And method overloading is possible both single and multiple classes. Major difference. Okay. And method overriding is related to what? Inheritance. And overloading is related to what? Polymorphism. And in the method overriding, we should not change the signature of the method. Signature means what? The declaration part, return type, name of the method, order of parameters, all those things. But body we should change. But in overloading, we should change the signature of the method. Major difference. How come you say there is no difference? Both are same thing. No. Only one similarity is method names are same. In overriding, in overloading, the method names are same. Okay. And the third thing belongs to inheritance, and this is a belongs to polymorphism. Okay, remember this. So everyone is understood what is the difference between method overriding and method overloading. In interview, if anybody asks, you should be able to answer that question. What is overriding? What is overloading? What are the differences? Because many people will have confusion here. A lot of people will confuse between overriding and overloading. Overloading belongs to polymorphism. Overriding belongs to inheritance. But still we can achieve overloading with inheritance combination. And overriding means same method again we recreate and change the body. Overriding means we should change the declaration of the method. That is called overloading. One thing can have many forms. But in overriding, we are not writing many forms. Only same thing we are rewriting again and again. We are not changing the form. But in overloading, we are changing the form of the method. Form means the declaration part. Can we access child class method from parent class object? No. That is possible only with interface concept, but here, no. If you create a child class object, you can access methods from only child class objects, whatever methods. And whenever you say child class, that is already extended method from the parent class itself, right? Parent class method already acquired into the child class. So whenever you call child class method, obviously, indirectly, we are calling the parent class method only. The question itself is wrong. You can just observe. This is a parent class. M1 method we created. Now we create another child class. This M1 method is also belongs to here, right? After extending. So now if you create a child class object, call M1 method, this will able to execute. With the same object, again, if you call M1 method, what does it mean? Actually, from where this M1 method is coming into child class? From the parent only, right? So when you call M1 method, this is got executing indirectly from parent method only. Okay. So the question is not correct actually. So the method is actually comes from parent class only. So you can execute the same method by using child class object or parent class object. Anything is fine. But when you do overriding concept, you have to carefully do it. When you override M1 into child class, if you need a new implementation, then you have to create an object of child class and then call this M1 method. If you want old implementation, then you have to create an object of parent class and then call M1 method. If you have overridden. Otherwise, you can create an object of any of these classes and you can invoke M1 method. Okay. Arjun, are you clear about this point? Is it possible in multi-level inheritance for overloading? What we have seen is multi-level inheritance only. Multi-level inheritance, everything is possible. Everything is possible. It is what type of inheritance doesn't matter. In all kinds of inheritances, overloading is possible. Overriding is also possible. In all kinds of inheritances, it is possible. In single, multi-level, hierarchy, multiple, everywhere, overloading and overriding is possible. So if you create a method M1 with one parameter here, and if you create the same M1 method, two parameters here, and if you create same M1 method, three parameters here, what's wrong in this? You can create n number of methods you can create. But here we are changing the declaration. So what type of concept it is? Overloading. And if you create a same method, no change of declaration, same method again, multiple classes, multiple definitions, multiple declarations you have given, right? Multiple implementations you have given. That's called overriding. In every class, we can override if you want. Or the method M1 from this parent, you can override in the grandchild also. Directly, you can override from here to here. You no need to touch anything in the middle classes. In all the things, it is possible. Everywhere it is possible. In every type of inheritance, overloading and overriding is possible. Okay, clear everyone? So please confirm in the chat box before moving to the next concept. Okay. So remember this, overriding and overloading, we finished. Now, so we will discuss one important keyword, final. Okay, before final, let me tell one more keyword. Just a second. Super keyword. Okay, super. Okay, so let us start with the final. So then we will discuss super. So final keyword. So the final keyword we can apply for variables, class, variables, and also methods, all three levels. So final keyword we can apply for variables, methods, and also class. We can apply for variables, we can apply for methods, and we can also apply for classes. All three levels. Normally class contains what? Variables and methods, right? Class is a collection of variables and methods. So the final keyword we can apply for variables, methods, and class. So we can have final variables, final methods, final class. But when you apply final keyword, what will happen? What is an advantage of final keyword? So basically the final keyword is especially for if you want to apply some kind of a security or privacy on the variables or methods in the class, you can go with the final keyword. Okay. So we'll see one by one. So first we will apply final keyword for the variable, and then we will see the difference, and then we will apply on methods, then we will apply on the class. Final keyword. First thing, let's create a new class. So as I said, final keyword we can apply on variables, methods, and also classes. Create a new class. I can just name it as test. Okay, take this, or okay, final keyword. This is my class name, and taking main method and say finish. Just observe very carefully. So this is a main class and main method. And in this, I will create a new class called test. And in this, I will create one variable into some x equal to 100. I'm hard coding this data, x equal to 100. Right. So now you guys can answer this question. I'm creating object of a test class, test t equal to new test. Create an object of test class. Can we access this variable directly from the class, directly from the object? Yes or no? Can we access this variable, x variable, directly from the object? From the object? Yes, obviously. What's wrong in this? We can access everything from the class using an object, right? So simply we can object, because this is a non-static variable. We have to access only through object. There is no other way. So I'm accessing t.x. Okay, when I access t.x, I'm just printing the value of t.x. Okay, and this will print 100 as an output. Okay, this is clear. We created an object of the test class and we have accessed the value of x. That means we are able to access this variable and we are able to print that value of the variable. Can we change the value of this variable here? Initial value of x is 100. We are able to access it. We are able to print it. Similarly, can we change the value of x? Can we change it or not? So before printing t.x, can we change? Why not? We can simply change. If you are able to access, you can change. Now I can change t.x equal to 200. Here I'm changing. Okay, by using t.x equal to 200, and after that I'm printing t.x. So observe here. Before changing, we got 100. Now we got a 200. What does that mean? We're able to access this variable and also we're able to change the value of the variable through object. We're able to change the value of that variable using object. At any time we can change, no problem, because they are simply variables. The variable means what? The value of the variable we can change at any time, whenever you want. Okay, this is the default behavior. We can just create an object of the class. Through object, we access the variable and change the value. Now, suppose when you create this variable as a final, I'm applying final keyword for this variable. Now, here it is giving an error. What it is an error? The final field test.x cannot be assigned. And it is giving one suggestion also. Remove final modifier of x. It is asking us to remove final modifier of x. What does it mean? When you create a variable with a final keyword, that value is fixed. We cannot change that value. So before applying the final, we are able to change the value here. It is working fine. But after applying the final keyword, when I'm trying to change the value, it is not accepting. So that is the reason it is asking remove final modifier first. Remove final modifier and then you can make the change. But if we have a final keyword, you cannot change the value. Got my point? So the final keyword we can apply on the variable. If you apply final keyword on the variable, we cannot change the value of the variable. That is always constant. This is incorrect. Why it is incorrect? Because x is final variable. X is final variable. So we cannot change the value of variable. That's the first point. So when you apply final keyword for the variables, the value of the variable is constant. We cannot change the value of the variable. Is this clear, everyone? Yes. Final keyword makes mutable to immutable. Yes. Okay. The value of the variable is fixed. You cannot change it anywhere else. If you are trying to change, this will give an error. So here it is giving an error. The final field tested cannot be assigned. Means you cannot assign the value to the X. Forget about static. I'm not discussing static here. Later I will compare. There is a lot of difference. Every keyword is having a lot of difference, guys. Don't compare the keywords. You can always compare apple with apple, orange with orange, but you cannot compare with apple with orange. Okay. So similarly, there are different keywords are there, and static is totally different concept. Here, final is a totally different concept. There is no relation between these two. Once you understand the final keyword, then we will try to compare. Okay. Don't introduce static keyword here in between final keyword. Okay, so you will be confused. So when explaining about final, just focus only on the finals. Don't again remember other type of keywords. So final variable means what? The value of the variable cannot be changed. That's it. Now let us apply final keyword for the method. The first point, I hope everybody is clear. We cannot change the value of the variable, which is constant. Now the second point. Let us apply final keyword for the methods. Then what will happen? We will see. Okay, so what I will do is I will create another class. In Java, there are so many keywords are there, 5 to 10 keywords are there. So we can't compare them. So see here, I'm creating another class. It's a final keyword 2, taking main method and say finish. Okay. Observe first and you guys can tell me the answer for that question. So here I'm creating one new class. Test we already created. Now I'm calling as a test1 class. Okay. In the test1, I'm creating one method called void yum. One method, simple method I say. So I just created some method. Let's say this is yum method from test1 class. This is the implementation. Okay. So in the test1 class, I have created one method, normal method. Now I will create a child class of test1 class test2, which extends from test1. Okay, now the method m is belongs to test2 or not? M is belongs to test2 or not? Yes, obviously, because we are extended test2 from test1. So whatever method is belongs to test1, which is also belongs to test2. That is clear. Now, can we override this method in the test2 or not? Can we override? Yes, obviously we can override. So let us try to override this method. Void m. Same declaration. The body I will change. So what I will change it here. This is m method from test2 class. Okay. This is overrided method. M1 we successfully overrided. From parent to child class we have overrided. Fine. Now I will apply final keyword for this method. In the parent class, I will apply final keyword for this method. So as soon as you apply final keyword, here it is giving an error. In the child class, what it is saying, cannot override the final method from test1. And what is the suggestion it is giving? Remove final modifier of test1.m. What does it mean? If you create a method with the final keyword, we cannot override that method in the child class. Restricted. Okay. If you don't want to override this method in the child classes, you can make that method as a final. If you don't want to allow anyone to override your own method, you can just make it as a final. That's it. Okay. So if you make that method as a final method, you cannot override that method in the child classes. So here this is incorrect. Why it is incorrect? Because M is final method. M is a final method. Clear, everyone? So when I apply final keyword for the variable, the value of the variable is constant. We cannot change. When I apply final keyword for the method, we cannot override those methods in the child class. We have restricted. So we cannot override that method in the child class. Here it is giving an error. If you remove final keyword, we can override this method. When you apply final keyword, we cannot override this method. This is the second point. So when you apply final keyword for the methods, we cannot override those methods in the child class. This is the second point. Now, we will apply final keyword for the class. Then we will see. So here I have a test1 class. Here we have a test2 class. And we are able to extend test1 into test2. There is no problem. We are able to extend. When you make the class is final, we cannot extend this class into child class. If you don't want to use this class as part of inheritance, you can make it as a final. So now here it is started giving an error. What it is saying, the type test2 cannot subclass the final class test1. Means we cannot make test2 as a subclass of test1. Subclass in the sense child class. So we cannot use test1 as a parent. That means once your class is created with a final keyword, that class we cannot extend into child classes. Any other child class we cannot extend. This is also restricted. If you don't want to allow anyone to extend this class into their classes, you can make it as a final. So final classes we cannot extend into child classes. This is another point. So this is also here it is incorrect. Why? Because test1 is final class. If it is a final, we cannot extend that class into child class. This is the third point. So when you apply final keyword for the class, we cannot extend that class into any other classes. That is called final keyword. Now you understood. When I apply final keyword for the variables, the values of the variables are constant. We cannot change. When I apply final keyword for the methods, those methods we cannot override in the child classes. When you apply final keyword for the class, we cannot extend that class into child class. Simple. Okay. Overloading works as it is, because overloading, we are creating the different methods, right? We are not recreating there. So overloading works as it is. Only overriding. Specifically, I'm saying overriding. Did I say overloading here? No, right? So specifically override, we cannot override the methods. Overloading will work as it is. No problem with the overloading and other things. So when you apply variables, when I apply final keyword for the variable, the values are same. We cannot change the value of the variable. And if you apply final keyword for the methods, we cannot override that method. Still, we can do overload. Overload is a totally different method we are creating altogether, right? In overloading and overriding, in overriding, same method we are creating. In overloading, we are creating a different method. As soon as you change the parameters and data type of parameters order, obviously that is a totally different method. So it is allowed. So the methods we cannot override. Class means when I apply final keyword for the class, we cannot extend the class into child class. Simple. Okay, so this is all about final keyword. Different than. So what is the context of static method, static variables and static method? So I'm repeating this concept. What is the context where we have to use static and non-static? Non-static, everything by default, everything is non-static. But when you create a static variables and static methods, what is the context where we will create static methods and static variables? Yes. When you find variables are common, the values of the variables are common across multiple objects. Okay. And the method implementations are same for almost every object. Then you can make them as a static. Static means that is not fixed. Remember this. See, I have a static variable called x equal to 100. I have a final variable x equal to 100. What is the difference between these two? What is the difference? So static x equal to 100 means the x value, default value is what? 100. And even if you create multiple objects, in all objects, the value of x is what? 100 only. In all the objects, x value is 100 only. If you want to change this value, you can change. In the class level, you can change, or by object, you can access the x value and you can change. By object 2 also you can change. By using object 3 also you can change. This is always you can change. But when you say x equal to 100, you can, even though if you create multiple objects, you cannot change the value. This is fixed value. That is a major difference. Okay, this is a major difference for the variables I'm talking. Okay, static variable value we can change at any time, but final value we cannot change. This is constant. Okay, now compare with method. Suppose I have method M1, which is static method. And I have another M1 method, which is just a final method. The context is totally different. When we will apply static keyword for method, again same. If the method implementation is same across multiple objects, implementation again across objects, we can make it as a static. And this implementation we can always change. By using any of this object, we can change the implementation of this method whenever you want. And you can also override this method. You can also overload this method in the child classes wherever you want. You can overload this method. You can also override this method. Static M1 you have created in the parent class. Same static M1 you can create in the child class also. Overriding is also possible. Overloading is also possible every time. But final method is not like this. Overriding is not possible. But overloading, other things are possible. Only overriding is not possible in the child classes. But static methods, overriding, overloading, everything is possible. Is there any difference or not? Please respond, guys. Is there any difference you noticed or not between static and final? Okay. Now, we do not have a static class. Static keyword can be used only for variables and methods. We cannot apply for the class. But final keyword we can apply for the class. When you apply final keyword for the class, we cannot extend the class into child class. Okay, static classes we do not have in the Java. Static keyword is applicable only for variables and methods. So now everybody is clear the difference between static and final. So both keywords are used in the two different contexts. So they are not comparable actually. Okay. Yes. How can we static methods can be overridden? What can do? What's wrong in this? Whatever static method you created in the parent class, say this is our parent class. You created M1, which is a static method, right? So after extending this into child class, so same static method is belongs to child class also, right? Same static method. So you can just create again same method and change the implementation. What is wrong in that? Implementation you can change because the method implementations we can change wherever you want. Through the object also you can change, directly can change the class, or you can directly extend it and change the implementation in the child class. Everywhere it is possible. Even though it is static method, we can change implementation in the child class. We can override. You guys can try all these combinations because everything is not possible to show in the sessions. So you guys can explore all these things. It is possible. Invoke, we use class dot method name, but there is, yes, observe this. At the time of invoking, okay, just observe this is our parent class. In the parent class, there is a M1 method, which is a static. Now we have overridden this method in the child class. Child class is also having same M1 method, same static, and there is new implementation. This is the old implementation. Okay. Now, what is the context here? If it is a static method, we can directly call by using a class name. Without creating an object, by using a class name, we can directly call M1 method, right? Now, if you call M1 with the parent, like parent class name dot M1, then it will invoke the parent class method. And if you say child class dot M1, then it will invoke the child class method. Okay. Here also, we can invoke these methods directly by using a class name. And by using object also, we can access the methods. We can change the implementation of the methods. Just like a class name, we are directly accessing, right? Because these are the common across all the objects. So by using class name directly, we can access, or by using object also, we can directly access. Okay. Arjun, are you clear now? So static methods also we can override. Static methods also we can overload. Only final method we cannot override. That's only restriction. For overloading, there is no restrictions. Every method we can overload. Okay. So one last keyword we will discuss and then we will finish. So next keyword is super keyword. Super. And this super keyword always we will use only in inheritance. There is no other place you won't use it. Only in inheritance, super keyword will work. Okay. So what is a super keyword? This is again related to overriding concept. And listen very carefully. You have to you have to focus, okay, and pay attention on this. Otherwise, it will lead to confusion because we are discussing many things, almost similar topics, but slight differences will be there. Just observe. I'm telling the scenario first, and then we will see what is a super. And also, I will ask a question here. You have to answer this. I have a one parent class. This is our parent class. In the parent class, I say x equal to 100. I extended this parent class into child class. This is our child class. In the child class, can we change x value here? In the child class? Yes, we can also override variable value. I can make it as a 200. Okay. So this is a scenario. Now I will create object of parent class. Through the object, if I get x value, what is the value you will get? Parent.x means when I create an object of parent class and accessing x value, then you will get 100. That is clear. Now, when I create an object of child class and through that object, if I access x, what is the value you will get? 200. Means when you create an object of child class, when you access x value, obviously you will get the latest value because x is 100 is already overridden in the child class. So when you create an object of child class, through the object, if you access x value, you are getting the latest value. By default, you will get the latest value, overridden value. But my requirement is, even though I created an object of child class, instead of latest value, I want to get the immediate parent class value. Object is what? Child class object only. Okay, I will create an object for the child class. But when you say obj.x, by default, which value you will get? 200 you will get by default. But instead of 200, I want to get the parent class value. Parent class value I want to capture. But we should not change the object. Object is referring to child only. If you create an object of parent class, obviously you will get the X value 100. But here my requirement is what? I want to create an object for only child class. But still, I want to get parent value. Okay, this is one scenario. Remember, same thing. I have a parent class. And in the parent class, I will create one method called M1. And some implementation is there. Again, in the child class, this is my child class. I extended in the parent class into child class. Here again, I overrided this method with new implementation. Same method I recreated, overrided this method. Now, when you create an object for parent class and call M1 method, the old implementation will be executed. When you create an object of child class and call M1 method, the new implementation will be executed. But my requirement is, I will create an object of child class. I will call M1 method, but I would get the output from the parent class, immediate parent class method I want to invoke through child class object. This is my requirement. How is possible? How it is possible? So that by default, the latest variable value we can access. By default, the latest method implementation we can access. If you create a child class object, there's a default behavior. But still, I want to use child class object only. But I want to get the old implementation, old variable value. Old in the sense, the immediate parent class method implementation, immediate parent class variable value I want to get. So this is possible by using super keyword. So super is always representing immediate parent class. Okay, super keyword is representing immediate parent class. So by using super keyword, you can access. So you guys understand the scenario first? Because once you clear about the scenario, just a second. Hold on. Okay. Very simple, guys. If you create an object for parent class, okay, I can access only parent class variable and parent class method. If you create an object of child class, I can access child class variables and child class methods, right? But what is my requirement is, I will create an object of child class. Through that object, I want to access variables and methods from the parent class. That is a context. Now you understood? When you create an object of parent class, I can access everything from the parent class variables and parent class methods. When you create an object of child class, I can access child class variables and child class methods. But my requirement is, if you create an object of child class, through that object, I should want to invoke parent class variables and parent class methods. Means the old implementation, the old value of the variables. That is a context. Okay, so with this with the example, we will try to understand. Okay, so same thing I will replicate here. You will understand by seeing the example. So I'm creating new class. Okay, I'll name it as animal. I'll name it as animal class. So now my voice is clear, everyone. Okay. So I'm creating a new class called animal, and here I'm not taking any main method, just click on finish. So this is animal class. In this, I will create one variable called string color equal to white. Okay, I'm just creating one variable called color and I'm giving some value called white. Also, I will, this is a class. Now I will create one child class of this. I can say class dog, which extends from animal. Now dog is another class, which is extend from animal. So in animal class, we have only one variable. The value of the variable is what? White. Now here, I will try to change the value of the variable. Is it possible or not? String color equal to black. Is it possible or not? Yes, because we just overrided the variable value. Whatever value we have given in the parent class, I don't like that value. So I can just change the value in the child class. Now I will try to print the value of the color. So I can say void display color. And here I will just print the value of the color. Okay, now this is the implementation of the child class. Observe. Now I'm creating another main class. I call it as a test super. Here I'm taking main method. You can take the same class, no problem, but I'm just taking another class. Okay, just observe this. We created animal class, which is having one variable, and the value of the variable is white. Next, I extended the dog class from animal, and I changed the color of variable, and just I created another new method, which will display the value of the color. Okay, now come to the main class. Here, I'm creating an object of dog class. Just observe. So dog d equal to new dog. So dog d equal to new dog. This is a new class which we created. Dog d equal to new dog. Now by using this d, I'm calling display. Just a second. Okay. So by using this d object, I'm calling display color. Now what is an output of this code? When I run this program, what is an output you will get? When I run this, you will get a black. So obviously, just a second. You will get a black. This is what we are expected, right? We have created an object of a dog class and we are invoking the display color method, and this will print the value of the color. So whichever the latest value we have assigned, that is got printed. Fine. Because the value is already overridden here. So the new value, we got it here. Now my requirement is I still want to use same object. I still want to call same display color method, but display color method is printing the latest value here, right? But instead of this latest value, still I want to get my old value from the parent class. How it is possible? When you call this method, it is just printing the latest value. But still after overriding also, I want to get my old value. Even though we have done overriding, still I want to get my old value. Then what we can do? We can simply say super dot eat. Like this we have to say. So when you simply say only color, the latest value you will get. When you say super dot color, you will get the parent class value. Okay. What does super will do here is super keyword will invoke the parent class variable. Instead of the latest, it will invoke the parent class variable. Okay. Now, if you run this as Java application, see, this time we got white. Understood, everyone? So when I use super keyword for this variable, it will get the value from the parent class, not overridden value. If you just print only color, it will give you the latest value. This is the usage of super keyword for the variable. We can also apply for the method. I will show you that. Now, so is this clear? Everyone, please confirm in the chat window before going to the next. So super keyword will be used to invoke the immediate parent class variable. That's the first point. Super keyword will be used to invoke the immediate parent class variable. Now, in the parent class, I will create one method. Okay. One method. I say void eat. And here I will implement something. Here I can say eating nothing. I'm not specifying, just eating. This is a method. Same method I will again recreate in the child class. Is it overloading or overriding? Here I'm changing eating bread. Eating bread. Is it overloading or overriding? Which concept it is? Overriding, right? We have override this method into child class. Fine. Now, let me call d.eat. Okay. Now, which method will be invoked? d.eat. I call eat method from the d object. Child class method will execute. So whichever new method we created, whichever method we have overridden here, this is got executed by default, right? So when you run this, you can see eating bread. So the latest implementation you will get by default. Okay, but my requirement is I don't want to change the object. I will still call eat method, but instead of the new implementation, I want to execute my old implementation. I want to execute my old implementation. Then what we can do? Just comment this statement, and inside the same method, you can just say super.eat. What we are doing here? We are calling child method only, but in the child method, we are invoking parent class method. We are invoking parent class method. Okay, now if you execute, this will call child class method only, but it will try to invoke the parent class. Now you can see, you will get the output from the parent class method. Even though if you commented here, uncomment, you will get both, because by default, it is calling child class method. So eating bread is coming from here, and super.eat is invoked parent class method. So that is an output we are getting. Okay, so you can just comment this. So the eat method, the super keyword can also be used to invoke the immediate parent class method. That is the second point. The super keyword will be used to invoke the immediate parent class variable. The super keyword will be used to invoke the immediate parent class method. Immediate parent class method. So this is the purpose of using super keyword. Even though you created an object for the child class, still you are able to invoke the variables and methods from the parent class. That is possible by using super keyword. Super keyword is always representing immediate parent class. This point is very, very, very important. Immediate parent class means what? Will it work multi-level inheritance? In multi-level inheritance, how many immediate parent classes we will have? So this point is very important. I'm not saying in every parent it will work. Immediate parent means what? If you look at multi-level inheritance, let's say this is one class, this is another class, this is another class, this is another. This is multi-level inheritance, right? Suppose you created variable here, okay, and here 100, and this variable here you have overridden. Here you have overridden this variable. Now you created an object for this class. And by using this object, you can obviously invoke this variable by default. But if you look at here, through this object, if you want to get this value, will you able to get? Will you able to get? No, you will not able to get. Why? Because this is not immediate parent class of this one. But which one is the immediate parent class of this one? This is the immediate parent. Okay, if you have a value here 100, then instead of this, you will able to get this value because this is the immediate parent. But you will not get this one, or if you have here, you will not get this one. These two are not immediate parent classes. Okay, understood everyone? So in multi-level inheritance also, it will work, but you have to take either these two, or either these two, or you take these two, then it will work. Okay, immediate parent class variables, immediate parent class method only you will able to invoke. Otherwise not. Okay. For example, if you create an object of this class, you can invoke variables and methods from the immediate parent. So you will able to get from here. Similarly, if you create an object of this class, then you are able to invoke the variables and a method from the immediate parent from here. Okay. So this is a concept. In case of multiple, there will be multiple parent classes. See, there will not be multiple parents. Only in one type of inheritance, multiple parents will be there. That is what type of inheritance? Multiple inheritance. See, only in the multiple inheritance, there is multiple parents like this. And no one will be immediate. See here in multiple, okay, in case of multiple, there will be multiple parent classes. Okay, here there are multiple classes, multiple parents, and no one will be immediate. So it will be not, it will not be applicable. See, all three classes are immediate parents. This one is immediate parent, this is also immediate parent, this is also immediate parent. Now you have some variable here, a equal to 100. You have another variable e equal to 100. Here another variable a equal to 100. So first of all, by using a class, we cannot create multiple parents. In the last classes, we have discussed this. Okay, using a class concept, we cannot create multiple parents. Only in inheritance, it is possible. Sorry, only with interface, it is possible. Only with interfaces, we can create multiple parents. But in interfaces, we cannot use super keyword. Okay, we cannot use super keyword with interfaces. Super keyword is always represent class, not but interface. Okay, if you have a multiple parents, definitely they are the interfaces. They should not be classes. Okay, so the super keyword is not applicable for multiple inheritance. If you have multiple parents, if you have multiple immediate parents, not applicable. Only for class, it is applicable. Okay. So these are all concepts which are related to inheritance. We have discussed so many things, and practice it multiple times and get familiar and understand all the concepts. Even in automation also, these concepts are most important. Inheritance is very, very important concept. We cannot avoid in even on automation. And overriding, overloading is also most important. Okay. And super final keyword is not that much important, because the development perspective, these are all important. Interview perspective, you have to know what are all those things. Okay. So practice these things multiple times, understand the concepts, and we will continue in the next class. So interfaces is the next session. Okay. In the next session, we will talk about abstract class, interface. How can we achieve multiple inheritance by using interface? So all those things we will discuss in the next class. Okay. Yes. So I'll stop here for today's session, and tomorrow or next class we will continue.